Okay, so today we're going to be talking about cable management. I need to replace the cables of my regular bike because the gear cables mostly because the front are hydraulic brake line like these ones. The problem that I have with the other bike I will show you in a second is that the cables got too short now that I have a taller stem. I've been having problem with my back, so I decided to go for a more upright position. This is my new trail bike. It's a Brody whole shot from 2014. The frame is from 2014. I just built the bicycle last year. But what I want to show you, this is like optimal situation. You're going to be able to flip your bars almost all the way here without affecting anything in the back. So the cables are supposed to be long enough not to be affected by the cable pull. So that's something that you want to do. Some people prefer to have like really tight setups in the front. Mine, I cut the brake lines normally after the first time I need to bleed them. I will take them apart and I will do a full service and I will replace at the moment they're kind of on the long side, but I'm okay with that. So without further ado, I'm going to show you the bicycle now. This is my 2008 Kona Fire Mountain. I recently just replaced the stem and handlebar just to have a more upright position because my back has been hurting. But as I did so, my cables started to be a little bit too short. Like this as far as I can go here. And on the other side is almost all the way to. But the casing started to fail. I decided not to deal with that at the time when I did it. But now that is the off season, I'm going to do that. So we're going to do a cable replacement on these Shimano triggers. Since the old cable casing was damaged, I'm going to replace it. I decided this time to go with the blue color, just because I like to put different colors on my bicycle when I build them. I also have red, but for this one I decided to go for the blue one. You know, each one their own. I like colors. But there's some important difference between gear casing or shifter casing and brake casing. So let's talk about it at the moment. The brake cable normally is like a spiral. It's just a long ribbon of metal that goes inside. I don't know if you can see it here, but that's a brake cable and it's just a long spiral. You can feel like little stops there. And inside this spiral there's a little bit of a Teflon lining. That's just to make the shifting smoother. I cannot show it for you here, but it's just as I say before, it's just a long ribbon of metal that goes on a spiral. And the disadvantage of this for gears is that this kinks. So if you bend it, it kinks. Now, our gear cable, the gear cable is just a lot of linear strands. They go on a straight line. See, they go on a straight line. I will put a picture at the end of this. It goes on a straight line, and this reduces the, if it kinks, it's going to retain the shape inside. It's like having a little tube that is less prone to kink, and it will reduce the friction of the gear. You don't want to have friction inside your gear cable casing. This cable housing comes in two sizes. You have 4 millimeters for index shifting, and you have 5 millimeters for friction shifters. Make sure you get the right one because the 5 millimeter will be kind of hard to find these days because mostly it's index. So inside this these cables also come lube. You can also put some tri-flow if you want inside. But I find that to be an unnecessary step since when you have a good quality casing like this Jaguar, you don't need to lube it. They come with enough lubricant inside and that will last you for at least a season. Since I already sized the pieces that I'm going to use on my bicycle, let's go install them right now then. So first what we're going to do, we're going to cut the cable lengths from the derailleur. Use your nice clippers. And now you get ready to remove the thing. The pinch bolt is going to be a 5 millimeters in the case of this old derailleur. But in some other derailleurs actually it's going to be maybe a 9 millimeter, sometimes even a 10 millimeter wrench. Just make sure that you get the right tool for the job because you don't want to damage your derailleur. This is a really sensitive piece of the bicycle and you want to produce the least damage. So now with my 5 millimeter in place, I will try to reduce it, but first I'm going to check how the cable goes. You can take a picture at this moment if you want, if you've never had done this before, so you have a point of reference. So now I start nipping it. So this one is really tight and this releases the cable. Now note again, this is really important, how the cable goes into the derailleur. All derailleurs are different, so even within the same brands you can get the variants. So don't trust that it's just a brand A or brand B that you're going to have the same kind of cable pull. Always check your derailleur pull for that. I'll tell you what I mean about the derailleurs. I have a few derailleurs here. I have a Shimano Alivio, I have a SRAM X9, and I have a entry-level Shimano Tourney. This is like the cheapest derailleur that you can get that is still kind of reliable. It's not the best, so as you go up on the lines of Shimano, you start getting a more responsive derailleur, but that's not the purpose of this video. So we're going to talk about the cable routing. So I cut this little piece of cable here, and I'm going to show you, well, differences between the two Shimano derailleurs. One have a 5mm hex key, the other one have a 9mm bolt. So you're going to use a box wrench on this one, and on this other one you're going to use an Allen key. But the things that are similar on both derailleurs is that both the cable is going to go under this claw. This claw is maybe hard for you guys to see. I'm going to try to do my best to show you. There's a little notch here, and that notch is the notch where the cable is going to go. Have nothing to do with this little bendy part here. It's just a little groove. So when the cable comes, the cable is going to go straight under here. It's not a perfect straight line, as you can see. Like if I bring it from the barrel adjuster to here, it's going to be a little bit of a bend. That's why this derailleur is maybe not as accurate as the Alivio, that is a little bit more expensive. And on the Alivio, you can see that the exit is almost a straight line if you pass the cable. I cut this little section of cable just to give you a quick demonstration. So I'm going to pass the cable, and the cable is going to go here. That's where the cable is supposed to be pinched. So from here, you adjust it with your 5mm Allen key. And you will have the cable secure. You need to pay attention to this. This is not a proper system, this is just for demonstration, so you see how the cable goes on a Shimano derailleur. Many times I've seen in the do-it-yourself, people tend to do this. This doesn't help. This throws the cable away from where it's supposed to be going. And also another common mistake that I have seen is that people assume that this little claw here, same as with the other derailleur, that this claw is where the cable goes. So they put it something like this, with the claw there, pass the cable, not really in the groove, and then just hope to tighten it, leaving the claw there. And this is what happens. They tighten this a lot and they deform this claw. I'm not going to do it because I'm still using this derailleur. But the claw is not going to hold the cable properly, and normally tends to bring it away from the channel where is the optimal function. So try not to do any of those mistakes. This claw is just to stabilize the washer. And here is where you want the cable. So it's going to be a straight pull. There is a groove. If you are not sure, you can remove the bolt and you can see the groove. There is a little groove there. And that's where the cable rests. Okay, now for the SRAM derailleur. Let's put this back together. For the SRAM derailleur, we have the cable enters here and then do this big looparoo here. And from there it goes over the bolt. I'm going to remove the bolt to show you where it goes. So the cable comes from here into this channel, and from this channel it comes straight up here. Different from Shimano, it's not going to pass under here. This derailleur I removed from a friend's bicycle, and I think he passed the cable under. See, he didn't pay attention to where the cable was supposed to go. So this is where the cable goes. So if we were to install it, let's pretend that this is the cable that we're installing on this derailleur. The cable will need to come here, under here, and all the way on here. So this is how this cable routing will work on a SRAM derailleur. Not all derailleurs are the same. There is variance between SRAM and Shimano, and there is variance inside SRAM and Shimano. So because you have a brand, don't expect to have the regular behavior. Different levels of derailleur also will have different cable routing options. And the parallelogram is going to be different on all different brands also. I can get the cable off, and I'm going to pedal the bicycle so the gears go all the way to the bottom. So now I'm on my top gear and I can remove the rest of the cable. Now I will repeat the process with the front derailleur too, since I'm going to change that shifter too. This also requires the 5mm Allen key. Just paying attention to what you do, but it's not a bad idea to take pictures when it's the first time you're doing this. So I'm just going to open the pinch bolt, and now I'm going to pedal the bicycle so my gears land into the lowest gear here in the front. Okay, now I'm just going to remove the casing. I have the cable here and I take the casing off. This we're going to dispose because they are too short for us. I will take the front too. Now to remove the cable from inside here, also I'm going to apply some pressure to the cable and I'm going to release until I get to my highest gear. In this case is my index finger, the one that will do it. This is the thumb index, and you can release to the lowest gear, so there's no spring tension there. And these Shimano units, they have this little screw here. It's a little plastic screw. I'm going to show it to you in a second. Make sure that you catch it. There we go. So this little plastic screw, put it aside because you're going to use it again, and now you just can push the cable out. So here we have the shifter, and I like to remove the barrel adjuster because the barrel adjuster tends to get caught in the inner cable. And what you want to do, you want to see, I'm going to put a little light here to shine. So there's a little hole there at the very end. I don't know if you guys can see it, but that's where you want your cable to go. Normally I use a little light so it helps me see where I'm going. So the light is there and I just try to pass my cable through that hole this way. Make sure you're on the lowest gear, that they're going to release all the cable. That way it will pass easier. And that's how you do it. You install the barrel adjuster, don't forget to grease it. Make sure those threads are greased because they have the tendency to seize there, and that's not fun at all when you're trying to replace your cable. You discover that actually your shifter is damaged. So it's best practice to always keep your barrel adjusters lubed. I did that already on the other side. And once installed, I like to bring it all the way to the end. And then I just back up a few turns. So I have enough adjustment when I put the cable, so I'm going to leave it there. So here we have a view of how the barrel adjusters look. I have two clicks out on both sides, and this gives us an extra level of adjustability. Now we're going to choose the outer casing. I decided to go for blue. It's cut it now, and I just need to put some cable ends on this housing. The cable ends, you just press them in. I prefer to use the plastic kind. They are quite cheap and you can buy them in bulk. You can go to your local bike shop and buy some casings, or you can order it online too. You just press them in place on both ends. So just put it on and press it in place. That's all you need to do with the cable casing. Now we're just going to insert the cable into the casing. Try to guide it. It's just going to go straight into the hole. Push it almost all the way in. And then pull it up and just try to set it where you're going to route it. Try to route it the most convenient way. I prefer to pass the right cable towards the left part of the bicycle, but just on this bicycle. Every bicycle is different, so make sure you get to route the cable in the most convenient way for that particular frame that you have. And repeat the same process for the other side. Now we're going to pass the cable on the derailleur, but first always make sure how the cable goes, as I mentioned before. So in this derailleur, the cable is going to go under and it's going to be pressed by the washer that is going to be crushed by the pinch bolt. So that's what we're going to do. But before we do that, I'm going to do a quick adjustment just because this is a new cassette and it's a different spacing on the hub. So I'm going to try with my hands, and let's do this fast. We're going to do an adjustment of the limit screws. We're going to do a more detailed video of this later on. So we're going to do this really fast. So I will be adjusting the limit screws. I push the gears with my hand just to see how far it goes. So I need to shake the top and low limit screw for the high gears, and for the low gears every derailleur is different, so check your manufacturer's specification just to make sure that you're moving the right part. And after I have this a quick run that everything is running okay, then I'm going to do the final adjustment, just the cable tension. Now we're going to attach the cable, and we're going to make sure that it goes the right way. This derailleur takes it from the bottom, not from the top, so make sure that you have the right cable routing, and please don't loop it because that creates different stress spots that is going to make the cable break and fail catastrophically. So we're going to put the cable in the right position, and then we're going to snug it with a 5mm Allen wrench, like is the case for this derailleur. So we're going to put our wrench there and tighten as much as we can, and then we hold the whole unit and do the final adjustment. So it's tight enough, and then we're going to use our torque wrench and set this to 5 to 7 Newton meters. Check the specification for your particular derailleur on this part. Now that the cable is secure, I do a quick run over the gears. I start with 1 by 1, and then I do 2 by 2s up and down. This is just to help the casing to compress a little bit and to see if everything is responding as I want it to. When I'm done with this, I normally go for the front derailleur too, but also I pull the cable to stretch it or to compress the casing a little bit more. So when this is all checked, I leave the gear in a position and I start working on the front derailleur. The front derailleur is rather similar to the rear. Just pass the cable, pull it, and then do a quick run of the gears. So similar to the rear derailleur, I run through the gears, I pull the cable because on this bicycle they are exposed, so I can do it by hand. And I need to adjust the limit screws in the same fashion because they are a little bit overthrown. This is a new crankset that I installed on this bicycle. I replaced the old one. And I need to do the limit screws in the same way. Check your manufacturer's specifications and find your low limit and your high limit screws. Now we're going to cut the cables with our trusty cutters, and we're going to make sure that we cut like about 1 inch. Please don't leave this longer or try to wrap it around or do whatever thing. This cable needs to be neat. This can fail and go into the pulleys and destroy your whole system. So cut it, and then with your cable cutters you can put the cable end inside there, and you just can pinch it in the system to secure it. Just one pinch, and there you go. Now you have a beautiful cable end on your derailleur, and that will stop it from fraying. If you want to apply a little bit more pressure, you can put it sideways and just apply a diagonal pressure using the same tool. So we do the same to the front, and we have a bicycle with freshly applied shifter cables and housing. Thank you for watching the Greasy Bench. Please subscribe if you find this video useful.